Oh,
You weren't
I didn't hear
on.
nothing because he hadn't turned the mic
Yeah.
on.
I
Okay,
can
good,
do that.
good. Yeah, it's very technical. On off.
He's saying I don't hear anything. I'm like,
Yeah,
the music is still
on
going.
on off. It's always go to the on off. How many times in life you doing something and it's just that? Oh,
You look weird with these headphones.
no, I don't look weird. I look different. That's what you mean.
You look weird.
You're not accustomed to seeing these headphones on me. You look more like you want me to look more like a two-tone look. Anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here, along with Rogan Smith, who is committed to Waffle House now. So there you go. How are you doing, Rogan?
I'm good.
Yeah, because that's her thing now. She going with that. You know.
This is when you don't.
Comb?
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't really comb my hair though.
What do you do?
I brush my hair or
You brush,
twist
okay.
it up or something like that.
Okay. So this is when you what?
When I brushed it, but I just didn't feel like exposing it.
Oh.
My hair ain't really
exposure.
fixed.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about those people.
Who's those people?
The females. They have a whole lot of stuff that they've got to get through before they can present themselves to the general public.
Yeah, because people like you would judge us if we.
I'm
if
not
we
judging.
didn't.
I probably like you here a while.
What is today? Thursday, day 2 of me presenting waffles or pancakes.
Well,
How you take that?
How
you take that?
I just think you got the tie-up look, and that's fine.
Hey, Kendrick. You see how this man go right now? I'm even offended, right?
I
But
like.
you see
No, of
how-
course you're
you
not
see how-
offended.
I'm
You can't be offended.
I'm offended. But you see how he go right there when you say something about him? Why would you be so mean?
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying I like your natural hair. I'm saying
love
that.
my natural hair.
See, let me tell you why I said something about the
The
what do you call
waffle,
it?
the pancake look.
the handkerchief. Let me tell you why I said it. Because women will do things to subjugate. I don't know if that's the right phrase. The other thing. So, in other words,
To negate the other thing?
negate. Yes, negate. That's the other. That's the one. That's the word. Your concern was more about the what you call it, unbrushed look, right? And so you went with a different look. Now, I personally like the wild look. The wild look is in, and by the way, the brothers, they ain't coming to hair straight through. They got something going on, but they just say, you know what? And all I can think of is, I hope you wash it.
Oh, my hair. Every week I wash my
No, but
hair.
I mean those
them
guys.
set, yeah.
Because they're going wild.
Like,
Okay.
Like 3 locks.
Oh, yeah, or 3 locks. Or they just, you know what? I'm fooling with this for the next 3 months. Okay? So they have a different look. So no, you know that there are women who they won't even come to the door
That ain't me.
without makeup or without fixing the stuff. You know about that, right? No? Oh, but Rogan could speak to that. You know about that.
I've heard. I
You
know
know.
people.
Don't say you heard.
My sister's one of them people.
Yeah. So you
My
heard.
sister's one. No. I was gonna point to a specific example just now, but I
Okay,
won't. Right?
okay.
But my sister, she can't. You ain't gonna see her unless you have a full beat. Like, the full eyebrows and the makeup and all that stuff.
A full beat?
Yeah, they say you beat your face.
That's a new one?
That's been around for a
I've been
long
around?
time.
Okay.
Mm.
Since what? The 2010s?
The first time I heard it was on what's the movie where Whoopi Goldberg plays the nun? What's that called?
Class Act? Sister Act?
Act. Yeah, Sister Act. That's the first time I heard beat your face.
Hooey.
Yeah, that's a wild man.
But I mean, and the ones who grab me the most, and there are people driving, and this is the thing about when you say things like this. There are people driving who, and they might be next to their child, and then the child might say, "Oh, mommy, that's you." Who, they gotta make sure I grab that wigs. Go get your ma wig. Is that doorbell ring? They gotta go get mommy wig.
Let me tell you something.
Because they can't put that wig down on.
You're talking about wigs. One time I had somebody cleaning for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I came home in the middle of the day,
Mm-hmm.
just because I left some documents or whatever. And I came home, and I went upstairs to my bedroom, and when I turned around, there's this spider monkey wig on the door. And I just freaked. Mm-hmm.
That's where she rested.
She rested up, like, you see how the door is? If this were open, like, rested up there. So when I turned around, it scared the crap out of me.
Because when she wakens, she's take the wigs off.
Yeah. Boy, that scared me. I think I let out a little.
Yeah. See, it's a plan. Because what happened is when she probably built up a little sweat.
Yes, yeah,
So
take
she'd
it off.
take it off for 2 reasons. One, not to sweat, right? And this is the one I like because this is how only Bahamians will say this, to let that one air out.
So what do you think happened now? So because I just came in the house, so I didn't see her. So now I got to see what she
her.
play.
Because that's another. Okay. Was she embarrassed that you saw her that way, or she only wanted you to see in the big section?
I don't know if she was embarrassed. I was kind of like, let me get
you
out
pretend,
of here.
Okay,
let me get out
pretend
of here.
like everything's normal.
Yeah.
I noticed you don't have the wig. I didn't see the wig on the door.
I took a picture of it and sent it to my friend who can come too.
She rests the wigs on the door. You know what you should have done if you were a kind employer?
What?
You should have put a hook on the door for her to rest in future.
I have hooks
You know
downstairs.
what? In fact, you have poor working conditions.
I do have poor working conditions.
She should go to the Housekeepers Association and complain that this person does not have a wig holder for me.
They probably be like...
Oh, yeah, we can rally on that because all us got big.
Have the black cards.
Next thing you know, they had the John Pinder. Okay?
You ain't lying.
On a more serious note, you saw that where there was a shooting, and this is all conjecture because I don't know the truth, but I understand there was like someone slapped someone, whatever, and that resulted in that. I don't know how to classify these individuals, because the thing I'm having difficulty with most, and this is where you have to go draconian, into kind of police state, right? Why are you carrying a gun? Period. Because if because of a situation like that, that's now what's resulted. Mm-hmm. You see? And you didn't have to carry it. You could have left. If in the defense of your home, that's another story. Mm-hmm. Like I told you, I was on a jury where a guy had shot and killed someone who was exiting his home, but he wasn't in the house. He was near the road. And the judge dismissed the case. I mean, because when I saw...
Say it again?
In other words,
a homeowner?
Rogan Smith, let's use you as an example. You're the homeowner, right? Ken breaks into your house. Mm-hmm. You hear noise. He runs out. He escapes.
Yeah.
But you chasing him with a shotgun.
That's a problem.
And he gets on the road, like just right on the barrier of the property in the road, and the guy shot him. You shot Ken. Okay? Now, I happen to be on the jury. And I knew the person. So when the person...
You knew the homeowner.
I knew the homeowner. So when the homeowner, walked in, I go to the guy, what Rogan doing here? Because you got to go to the dock or whatever they call that, right? And I was like, and then I heard the case. Well, Rogan shot Ken, who was escaping from breaking the house. Oh, I was like, let me hurry get this case to the end so I can vote not guilty.
I thought you were supposed to get off that case if you know.
What's... No, listen carefully now. What they do is they bring in the person and then they go through the process of elimination or whatever, right? But the bottom line is this: the judge said case dismissed.
Why? Because
he knew that fellow wasn't getting convicted. That was a waste of time. That's where you get your noli, no case to answer, because none of us sitting on that jury were going to convict you for shooting someone who broke in your house.
See, but I would have been the person I would have been the problem on the jury then, because you know why?
Why?
Because he didn't do it while the person was in his house, and that's why I don't understand why that was tossed.
Yeah.
Because if he chased him into, you listen, don't do that, please don't do that. That really bothers me when you do that. Just dismissive.
Okay.
If that person is running away, then let them go. Even I don't know what you're going to do, call the police or whatever. The person might be gone, but they're already off the property, so you've killed this person. That's a problem.
Well, you would have been the one then.
I would have convicted that homeowner.
Yeah, you would have. Well, you would have been.
I would have been the one to vote guilty. You would have had a hung jury.
Yeah, you would have been the hung jury.
Yeah. I would have been the one to say,
because no one else. They would just kind of. And the judge
if he were in the house, then absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I can guarantee you that the majority of people, unfortunately, it's the vigilanteism in us. The majority of people would have said, you know what, I could have been in that situation. Boom. That's how they think. That's how I think. We got a little break. We got a break, and we're gonna go. We got a break.
That's a big problem.
And you probably would have wanted to save him some waffles too. No. Anyway,
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, just to continue on the conversation. This is why I feel there are so many Bahamians who feel like there are different laws for different people in this town. Okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna
because there are individuals who have more of a standing in society. You know, they have a bigger name, or they're Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, and they can do things in this country and they get away with it. And then you have individuals, just a regular Joe Schmo guy. If he does something, it's like he gets the book thrown at him.
Let me say the differentiation, and I'm going to say this where you're completely wrong. And here's the differentiation. No matter who it is, no matter what strata of society they existed in, if they were in their home and someone broke into their home, no matter what strata they were in, and the person who was being intruded upon shot someone and killed them or hurt them as a result of the intrusion, I can guarantee you anyone sitting on that jury, the majority of them anyway, would have voted not guilty. So it doesn't matter in that instance. Now, there are instances where, like you say, someone does something that is borderline criminal or criminal, outright criminal, and get off because of their status in the country. I get that. But in this scenario, I'm talking about home invasions.
And I'm saying to you once again that I'm in agreement with you that if someone broke into anybody's home and was inside the home and the homeowner shot them dead, that's a different scenario versus someone came in my home. I was not hurt. They may have stole something, and I chased them with my gun into the street, and I shoot them dead like an animal.
I'm saying to you that it's wrong, I'm saying to you it's wrong, but it wouldn't matter what strata they were in. They would still get off. It's wrong.
I don't know.
I'm feeling it's no, because let me tell you something. Let me just say, there is a very, very sympathetic bent. And this happens everywhere, not just the Bahamas. Sympathetic bent about someone being intruded upon and how they react to it, even if they're wrong in their reaction. Okay? That's just the way it is globally.
And there's an even more sympathetic bent when that person who is accused is somebody of a certain ilk. Okay, when they're Mr. So-and-so, the special person over here, versus the regular Joe Schmo guy. And that may seem so out of the ordinary for you to hear, but there...
No, it doesn't. I get that. But
there are people every single day in this country who don't get a fair shake, or who
I get that. I agree with you.
Who get the books thrown at them just because they don't have the right connections or they don't have the right last name.
I'm in agreement with you, and you need to hear that without I'm in agreement with you. But I'm saying that so in other words, suppose two people are driving down the road, and one has a gun, both have a gun, and one is, X person and one is not X person. That's a problem. I agree with you. Okay, and of course it happens, and I'm in agreement with you. I'm saying I agree with you, so therefore it happens.
Good.
I'm talking about those very unique scenarios where someone is intruded upon, and they go beyond what is maybe acceptable by the law in retaliation. And I can guarantee you that in all those cases, when they're before a jury, and it has a lot to do with just this whole, anger and vigilante, because at the end of the day, it's the jury who decides. It's not the courts. It's the jury who decides.
But it was the judge who dismissed that case before it even got to the jury.
Yeah, but I understand that. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, he knew what was going to happen with that jury. But I'm saying to you that I have been on juries where I see people of all sorts of strata where the guy said, you know what, that guy? Yeah. Anyway, I get break into the other day, so I mean, I'm telling you the way it is, what happens, and they're not looking at the strata of the victim. No, sir.
I have to disagree with you on that.
Well, I've been on the jury, so
that's don't matter. It don't matter. And I've talked to people who
and I've had to report
situations.
There
have been individuals who you didn't even report to the judge that you knew the guy.
It didn't get to the case. It was like where they introduced the case. And then before they went... And
you already knew in your head that you were going to let him go because he was a good guy.
Before the, what do you call it, the jury selection, you're in the jury pool. You're in the pool before they say, okay, I contest this one or not. So it had nothing to do with me telling the judge anything.
That's fine.
Because before that could even arise, that it was dismissed.
But you realized that you had already said that you were going to acquit him, okay?
Yes.
You already made it. You didn't even want to hear the case.
No. Once I heard what happened,
No, but you ain't hear the case.
I don't need to hear the case. Break it into my house. And by the way, the judge didn't hear the case and he dismissed it. So I go with the judge.
Because you were in a similar position where somebody broke into your house and stole your stuff and you chased them in the
Right,
street with their gun.
I'm saying to you, that was before that though. So that's irrelevant. I'm saying to you that at 19, 20, 21 years old, when I was in the National Guardian, on the jury, before I could even make that determination, guess who made that determination for me? The judge.
Fine.
So there you go.
But I maintain that there are 2 laws and 2 cities in this town.
Yeah. In every town on the planet.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
even
this
in
town.
Upper Mongolia.
But I'm talking about this town. I'm talking about this town.
You're talking about this town, but I'm talking about all the towns.
That's fine, but I'm talking about this town.
It's called privilege and wealth and political sway in every country, like Trump and all these people.
Yeah, and it's not fair.
And it's not fair.
It's not fair.
We're not disagreeing. I'm telling you one thing.
I could see if that man was in there in the bedroom with your child or something like that, or you know what I mean, where you figured they might rape them or hurt them, that sort of thing.
I'm going to say this to you,
and outside.
I'm going to say this to you, and I'm going to make a statement, and then I'm going to leave with this about how human beings work. And one of the things that human beings do is they're very easy to put themselves in a what they would not do scenario, except when it happens. Okay, so depending on where you are, and I used to have a friend of mine who used to be on the show with me who would say, "Well, why are you putting them on me?" Who, if your loved one is attacked, you don't know your reaction. Okay? And when that reaction happens, let's just take a fictitious person and say when someone comes into that person's house, abducts someone in their home, et cetera, and running out, how that person reacts.
Is that the case in this scenario?
No, I'm just creating a scenario, if that's okay. And when that person reacts to that person, you only hope that the society looks at that and says, you were the victim, not that person who abducted you. Because I'm going to be honest with you 100%. When you, and I'm being very candid here, when you infiltrate me, as far as I'm concerned, and I may never get away with it, you've lost your rights. Okay? When you decided to infiltrate my property, as far as I'm concerned, and I think this is why society does this, you've lost your rights. That's all I'm saying. That's why they throw you in jail, because you've lost your rights to be free. So.
Anyway, like I say, if it's a victim, is a crime where there's a victim involved, that's different for me versus a victimless crime. And that's just the end of it.
Yeah, and you never know what could be victimless, and if the person hadn't done something, right? So. Well. Anyway, it's one of those scenarios which will be determined by the outcome. So. All right, so later on we have some folks from APD. They're going to talk about Maritime Week, I think, or month, and they're having a maritime festival that we're going to talk to them about. It'll be interesting to find out what all is involved in the maritime. It's a big thing in the Bahamas, maritime. And we also have Dario, who is, we're testing him. He wasn't able to make it because he had to do something else on Monday. So he'll be here on Thursday to talk about Carnival. I see who else came? Oh, I saw an editorial in the Punch about Carnival and their view on it. So we'll see multiple views about taking root and all that kind of thing. What I see, our man is decided he's gone king.
Who's
that? Donald.
Oh,
he's gone full king. Mm-hmm. He's gone full king now. You get a subpoena. I'm executive privileging.
Yeah.
Every day, it's everything.
Executive orders. Yeah.
Yeah. I just say nothing. No rule applies to me. But they said that is well. That's the world of nuts. Because that isn't that because
that's when you have privilege and power.
Well, he doesn't have privilege and power because at the end of the day, no, he's abusing it, and certainly we're going to see. Yes, he does, and we're going to see how far he can get away with that. I see they've subpoenaed his son. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Can he then order his son not to show up?
I don't know about that.
Why wouldn't he be able to do that though?
I don't know
about
right? that.
In theory.
I guess in theory. As far as he's concerned, Don Jr. has answered over 20 hours worth of questioning, and he doesn't understand what this is all about at this point, because he said everything that needs to be said.
Well, what Congress is calling him back for is because things that he said turned out to be untrue, or at least they think it's untrue. So they want to ask him why he said that. Because you can't lie to, in theory, to Congress, right? Because that's we need you to clear that up. Now, what's interesting is that the Republican-led Senate.
Yeah, that's what was so weird about it. You'd think that they'd be okay with this and not be throwing the president under the bus in this regard.
The son, he named Don Jr. Just in case they didn't know. By the way, our man Joval.
Oh yeah.
Who was here?
Yuval.
Yuval, and I forget his last name. Who was Israeli Aviv.
Remember we had the whole conversation.
We got to see what's happening. Let me tell you a little. I love the little puzzle playing. So the IRS has a law, or the Congress has a law that says if the Congress asks the IRS for the tax returns of anyone from the president down, they have to give it to them. So we're just ignoring that. We're executive privileging that. However, executive privilege only extends to the federal government. So let me tell you what the state of New York is doing. The state of New York, which has a Democratic Congress, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic governor, they're passing an exact same law as the federal law. So that if Congress asks them for the document, they'll give it to the document, and there's no one to say no.
Yeah.
And most of his taxes are in New York.
Awesome.
Isn't that some machinations, man? But do you watch, you ever see James Corden? I don't know if you stay up that late.
The comedian? The
show.
Talk show host?
The talk show host.
I've watched him from time to time, but I'm not a big fan.
Yeah. So he had a monologue yesterday, and it was about the fact that Trump says, I'm subpoena, what do you call it? Putting an executive privilege that no one can see this report. And by the way, the report says I'm innocent. And he says, of course, that makes us feel comfortable that no one can. What was the example he used? It was some example like, if you say, well, listen, I need you to believe me on something, but I don't need you to look at it. You can just say, I know it was. Let me tell you exactly what it is, Rogan. It was like, you see this book? This book proves that I'm innocent, but you can only read. Hey, you can see the cover? See the title? That's it. Okay.
Like, why wouldn't you want me to see it to vindicate you?
I feel like I'm in like kindergarten because it's so basic that if you're innocent,
you should have
take
nothing to
the
hide.
book.
Go ahead, run with it. He knows he's not.
It's like saying, Rogan, you see this water? It's not poison, but I'm not drinking any. Can you just drink it?
Yeah.
But I'm not drinking. No, I've
stopped trying to figure him out because it's causing me to lose brain cells.
But you know what's sad? Forget about what's sad though, Rogan, is because I saw a thing on Lindsey Graham. They showed on Lindsey Graham where he was pontificating about the need to impeach and why it protects the Constitution, et cetera. And of course, this is the same guy. Like he's had a complete time warp and forgotten about it. What is sadder is not that one guy could be off his rocker. What's sad is all these paragons of quote-unquote virtue who are senators and congressmen, they just go in with the flow.
Yeah, I have zero respect for those individuals. Zero.
I'll ask you this one last question because you always have to check yourself. Are we loony and they're okay?
No.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Because
I'm pretty sure.
You understand why I asked that, though, right?
I mean, it's just so bizarre.
I watched them last night talk about, well, they're asking Trump to break the law. And if he breaks the law by coming here, then he's broken the law. If he doesn't come, then he's refuses. And every single one of those people said the same exact thing.
Self-preservation.
And I'm saying to myself, what are they? What? Maybe it's me that all of these people who are opposed to this guy, they're off track, and maybe this guy is,
he's all right.
Maybe he's okay. And all the MAGA people with the camouflage belts and stuff, maybe they're okay.
Said no one ever.
Say again?
Said no one ever.
What does that mean?
That means hell no.
Okay.
You said maybe he's okay.
No,
said no one
ever. Well, they said it.
Oh my God.
The MAGA rally
said
people.
No one with sense ever.
See, that's the other thing. Do we get to say that?
Yes,
Because
you do.
You do?
Yes, you do. Because in this instance, I mean, I don't understand anybody who could defend. We have it here in this country as well.
Everywhere. Yeah.
We have it here in
We
this
back
country.
to this thing, yeah.
You have leaders who just say the most ridiculous things. They straight up lie. And they're arrogant with their lies. And then they have sycophants and these people who just say, well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And then you sit back and you say, am I crazy?
Yeah. See,
crazy?
I look at a thing like a subpoena, right? Now, obviously, no one thought this through at the founding father level. Because when I subpoena you, you're supposed to come, right?
That's the way it works.
All right. Now, so far, up to yesterday's date, okay, in the history of the 2-something years or whatever of the United States, everyone just came. In fact, most people came under fear that they would be subpoenaed. So let's not waste time. Let me go now before they try to subpoena. But your boy said, no, I'm not. So how you spell that? So now what happens is, and this is what's fearful, and I don't know if people think about this. You had this country to the north, who everyone, like what we talked about with the mailboxes, about no one stealing nothing out the mailbox.
That's
or
the
no,
culture.
that there's an honesty thing, right?
Yeah.
And now you have this guy who is at the top of the pyramid saying, oh, the law? I'm not checking for that.
Yeah.
So what happens when the next president comes in?
Has he ruined it for everybody who comes after him? Or
That's why they are compelled. Now, this is my thing. Whether they succeed or not, they are compelled to proceed as if they're going to win this scenario. And I would hope that if it gets to the courts, now this is where you're going to see honor versus dishonor. That if it gets to the courts,
this is
and
where
the
we're
courts
see it.
well, I'm just hoping, because you see, one good thing is you see how Judge Roberts and those Judge Roberts will look at the Constitution and say this is right or wrong. They're always talking about the Constitution. We're going to see, because we know how your boy going, Brett.
Yeah.
We're going to see.
Yeah, we really know.
And this guy, Bill, what's his name? Bill Barr or Bob Barr?
Barr.
He is just.
That's your friend?
That's my friend. That's my friend, Bob Barr, BB. I mean, it's just, so I keep on, what I'm hoping is that, and I now into the Game of Thrones and the billions because it's too much to handle. But because I'm now in a position where I'm having to doubt
yourself?
I'm doubting myself on a daily because it's happening. Huh?
You're crazy.
Okay. We'll see. I'm crazy.
When I say you're crazy to doubt yourself, that's what I'm talking about.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
We're not living in the Twilight Zone?
We are in the Twilight Zone. Which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Because you're in the Twilight, well, it's always a series, right? Because you're in the Twilight Zone. What you think is isn't.
I know. But maybe we are in the Twilight
Zone. So I think we're wrong, Rogan Smith. I think we'll recapture our sanity and we just go with who we think is crazy. We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith. I think we've solved some things, and that's what's important. So we have with us Dick McComb, and I got to be honest with you, Richard. That's a rough name to carry around.
Yeah, you should try it with your son.
That's a rough name to carry around, man. I've always wondered about that. I always thought that people with that name would wait till they get to a certain age and just change it. Richie,
By
Rick.
then I was old enough I could accept it, but
okay.
Prior to that it was kind of tough.
So anyway, and then we have Amanda Friedman with us, who's they're both from APD, the Arawak Port Development. And so before they got a thing going on this weekend, the Maritime Festival, which is in recognition of their 10th year of operation.
Nice.
But I want to talk first before we get into the fair, the festival, about about what's happening at APD, because I think a lot of people you kind of know it. Yeah. And another interesting thing, and I was in the DNP role, Downtown National Partnership role, we had a town planner come from the U.S. many years ago. And then I think it was last year, or certainly 2017 perhaps, he came back to kind of do a follow-up. And what amazed him was the move from downtown to Arawak Key, because that's no small feat. That ain't like, you move a house. So were you around at that time when they were doing it?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was with Tropical when the transition was beginning to happen.
Yeah.
But as you know, I mean, we started talking about this in the late 80s with the Nassau Tourism and Development Board, and you've been on it forever. And the need has always been there. It's just to get all the ducks lined up took a little longer. But it did a lot. I think it's done a lot for Nassau. It's done a lot for the country, and it's certainly done a lot for the shipping industry. I mean, our capacities at that port, we are, now recognized in the Caribbean as one of the most productive ports in the Caribbean. We were recognized as one of the most efficient ports in the Caribbean by international standards. The U.S. Coast Guard and recognize us as a model of excellence for all of the ports in the Caribbean. They use us as a model. So we're doing things right. We had an opportunity, obviously, to start with a green slate, so we got to do things right from the beginning. But it's also, the reason we're having the Maritime Festival is because there are so many more people involved in the port and the maritime industry than APD. We have hundreds of partners. In the port, we may have 95 or 100 employees, but together there in any one day, we have 450, sometimes 500. And, we always talk about opportunities and jobs, which is a focus we're going to have on this one. And, in any one time, we may need 2 or 3 people, but Bahamas Customs, who's a big player in there, they may need 7, and Tropical might need 2. And you put it all together, and all of a sudden there's an opportunity there for, maybe 100 people. And the diversity of it. It's just not just the cranes. It's not just the top picks. There's the truckers, there's the logistics, there's accounting.
Yeah, because you're assuming everyone knows what the top picks are.
Oh yeah, well, those things that move those boxes around, right?
Top picks.
But and that's part of what we're doing is we You said it at the very beginning. When people come there, they say, "I didn't know this was here." There's members of Parliament that don't know that it was there.
Yeah, because you don't need to go. I mean, the average person really, everything is done for you. You go to the store.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's where you. Okay, so not very many people are going to. The only reason I go to the port is to see Mike. That's it. So I don't need to, because I don't need to go to the port. I'm not bringing anything in. But let me ask you a question, which I think is extremely interesting, and it's happening with the global ports. I hope it'll happen with BPL. I hope it'll happen with cable. I find just thrilling the fact that a country that is reliant on imports, which means it's a fairly secure business. It's not like investing in some roller coaster thing. Every single thing that we rely on has to be imported, and as a result, all these Bahamian people have shares in it. And I don't know where that exists anywhere else.
I don't know that it does, and I think it's a great opportunity. Unfortunately, once we did it, there was a lot more people who wished they were a part of it than are today. So I think as public-private partnerships and other businesses develop in the country, I think that opportunity is going to show itself. It never used to be something that local Bahamians did,
I don't know how you could. It's like a no-brainer, right? When someone says, "Do you want to invest in the port?" For whatever the 1,000, and I think they were giving loans, I think, or something like that, to be involved in a scenario where, I mean, that's what you call, in my view, and I saw it might sound socialist, a responsible distribution of wealth.
Right.
Because before that, basically all of the ports were owned by several families.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
correct.
And here was an opportunity for Bahamians to get involved in this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's why, because there was pushback on the whole thing.
Right.
Why would that have been?
Was it because of the limitation? Because I think there was a limit for how many shares each person could get.
They didn't even want it to happen. They didn't even want the whole thing to happen.
I think there's a lot of it is just this perception, that it's not really what it appears to be, because it appeared to be too good to be true. But it's a reality, and we're an incredible business. We don't. There's businesses that we could probably do as well as or better than other people, but we don't get in that business because we don't want to take somebody else's pie. We want them to have their pie and grow their pie, and we'll grow our pie as well. So we're trying to create opportunities within the whole logistics side of the shipping industry that allows people that are in the business today to maybe learn learn a little from us, grab our coattails a little bit, but get better at it. And you're seeing it. Take a look at the trucks on the roads nowadays.
Oh, are
some of them are beauties. They would stand up anywhere in the world.
You can have a truck competition now. That's your next one.
They're going to be there. Okay. They're going to be there.
So before there's another thing, and if I'm out of line, just tell me shut up and I won't. There's a clause in the whole arrangement that only allows you to make so much before it has to go back into the business to expand the business. Explain what that means.
The reason for that is we don't want your tuna to cost too much. You know, the greed, the shareholders don't have the option to be greedy. Mm-hmm. Once they start making so much money, we have to cut the tariff back down so we don't make so much money. So it's fair for the entire country, not just the people that are participating in the business. Mm-hmm. The whole value system of the creation of that company is for the good of the Bahamas, not just good for APD. To me,
it's amazing. It's an amazing story, and would also hopefully, as the country can grow economically, economic growth, you'll grow. You still maintain a margin, but the shareholder benefits more.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, one of the things that we're doing now, we're deeply entrenched in the apprenticeship program. That's an IDB loan with the Bahamian government's $50 million deal. But the first tranche is in the maritime industry, and we're putting together apprenticeship programs. It's a 5-year program to try and create sector skills that have a career path, and 20% is educational, the other 80% is work experience, and it gives levels of certification and qualification, which we need in every industry and every trade in the country. But because the maritime industry is as big as it is in the country, and secondly, because we're willing to go and lead this ship a little bit, we're starting that, and we're going to have a booth there. The Sector Skills Council will have a booth there. IDB will have a booth there. BTVI will have a booth there. And we're going to be looking for people who want to get into an apprenticeship in one of the many, many hundreds of opportunities that exist in the maritime industry.
Do you have any kind of partnership or arrangement with the Lowell Mortimer School?
Absolutely. Basically, the way the system is set up now, as a company, we do. We support them, and they're one of the beneficiaries of. For every person that comes into the festival, they come in for free, but we are contributing $2 to 3 charities. One of them is the LJM Maritime Academy, because we believe in it. Part of the Apprenticeship Sector Skills Council is to try now to find out what those skill sets are, and then meet with the academia side and have them structure the academic component of it so that they're a part of this process, as opposed to them being an educational and you got to pick something out of there that you like, but it doesn't necessarily help you get a job. Right. So we're trying to work together with them, College of the Bahamas, BTVI, the training center. So we're making some progress.
I mean, to me, you got to have a special constitution to work on one of these ships because it's all around them. But how many Bahamians are going through those programs, and how many of them are actually being placed on internationally, chartered boats?
I don't know the number, Ed, and I can tell you I was speaking to Captain Bain yesterday about that, in that, it kind of goes against our culture. We like to live at home. We don't like to be on a ship for 8 months and go somewhere. And plus, one of the challenges that exists that he came up with yesterday is, they are hiring a lot of Filipinos and people like that, and their salary scale is here. When they go home, they have a good chunk of change. They can use it. They come back here, and they can't even pay VAT.
That's right.
Zing, zong, zang. Yeah. All right. Well, listen. Now, you guys are having this festival. Now, first of all, is there anything else we're missing? Any other APD historical facts that we didn't cover?
Other than it's the greatest company in the world.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of Bahamians who are now interested in the maritime field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've done along the way that we've been coming along is we bring in people to train our people to be world standards. So we now have a crane operating team who's certified in the European standard system, but our head crane operator is an instructor certified by them, so he can teach anybody in the world how to operate a crane. We didn't even own a crane that looked like that when it started.
Yeah.
So we put the
That's
time and
the
the effort into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you run a diverse operation as well, don't you? I mean, I think I remember I did a tour a couple of years ago, but I saw some women operating. I was pretty surprised to see that.
They run the place. Ask Amanda.
I got right. Thanks, Dick.
I got to see that.
Yeah. Well, I got a call a few months ago from a lady who was looking for a job, and she said, "Do you have any jobs that women can do?"
Wow.
And I was like, I don't understand the question. And I was like, I'm not being funny. What do you mean? And she was like something that you hire women to do. And I was like, my dear, women are in every department that we have.
Because it's a perception that it's like a male dominated
Correct,
field.
exactly.
It's like no place for me.
Exactly. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, we have lots of men in accounts. And she was like, wow. So, that it was an aha moment there for a second, because I wasn't being funny when I was like, I don't understand, but it was because I see it day in and day out that men, women, it doesn't matter. We have women in every department, men in every department. So it was interesting to me to be able to break that down for her and kind of tell her we have no gender roles where I work.
I think one of the things that contributes to that too is the
gender roles.
The business today is more about the capacity to think and to perform. Not, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, a crane operator now uses a joystick.
Right.
Before he used to have strong arms to pull the levers and stuff. But the business, our people use tablets. It's all a mental capacity, and it's clear that those days are long gone.
I don't even know, Dick.
Right.
I don't even know, to be honest with you, if the average Bahamian, right, even realizes that's a career. That Steve Adoring and Crane. I don't even know if it's in the conscious. So I bet if you were to go into a school and say, where would you like to work? Well,
It wouldn't even be mentioned.
It wouldn't even arise, that I would like to be a crane operator on the dock. I mean, and these aren't cheap paying jobs. I assume they're decent paying
it's
jobs.
more than just, the careers in the industry are way more than the crane operator. I mean, there's a whole lot of that are in the digital sector. All of our, the whole entire terminal operating system is computerized, and it's tablets, and it's how to, every box that lands when it hits the apron after the crane puts it down. In anywhere in the world, they can say, I know exactly where that is. It's on the operator. I know who touched it.
Rogan Smith can tell you one of my favorite things in the world, because it's, as far as I'm concerned, very sexy and very exciting, is distribution. I just freak out on distribution. I don't know why. It's one of those things that just...
Yeah.
It just blows me away that, but that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Everyone knows where everything is. Well, listen, before we run, let's talk about, for a couple of minutes, the festival. Where, how, when, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So on this coming Saturday, May 11th, from noon to 10 p.m., we are opening the doors of the Nassau Container Port to the public.
Noon to what?
10 p.m.
Oh, 10 p.m. Yeah.
Noon to 10 p.m.
That's a long
You thought they were going to
Yeah.
go noon to back.
What?
You think they're going to start at noon and go back to 10 a.m.?
No. It's just a long time. That's why.
Yeah,
it's all day, man. It's a festival.
Come out even into the evening.
Absolutely, and we did that on purpose because, this is the first ever Maritime Festival. It is the celebration of our 10th anniversary, and we're giving it all we've got for this festival, and we know that people have things to do on a Saturday, and we want to give everybody every opportunity that they possibly can have to come out and spend some time with us, bring their family,
The theme we're calling it edutainment, because all of the exhibitors are there to tell their story, and so they're going to be talking about what they do in this business and how, if they're in distribution or if they're in the trucking or what side they're in. So they're going to be explaining that so people learn, but everybody's going to get to touch and feel and see the different parts of it. We have, as we speak, we have 3 of BPL's new engines and generators here. The other 4 are on the vessel, which may be discharged. Well, if they
look
get
big.
dropped, they're not coming back up. I can tell you that.
They look big, man. What kind of crane y'all use to pull that up?
They're they're
going to send the crane in.
One out of those engines weighs more than our entire crane.
So let me ask you a question. Those are supposed to be things where they come on a truck and they just roll the truck off, eh?
The trailer has 146 tires on it. You should see it. You come Saturday. You'll see them move. We're going to move some.
Take a video and send it to me.
Okay, awesome.
But is it, 146.
Yes, and it's all hydraulically driven and electronically controlled for weight distribution.
See, this is the other thing that freaks me out. That there are things that people have to, like, say this engine. that then someone else has to design something to build the engine and then to move it around. It just
Yeah. But you can see all of that if you come to the festival. We have all of that on display. We're making it very open so everybody can see everything. And, we have, we're going to have the Defense Force vessels there.
Yeah.
We have the Defense Force has the container city that they distribute when there's islands that have been hit by hurricanes.
Yes.
We have that set up.
Yeah.
It has an RO system in it. It makes waters, kitchens, rooms for people. I mean, we have everything.
I used to go back to the engines because I want to know any hills between here and Clifton.
There's
I want them to engines fall.
If there's a hump in the road, it'll be flat when they're finished.
But anyway,
And
no,
you're gonna have
just,
entertainment and kitty corners. So talk about that so people can know it's real fun.
We're going to have, Dick mentioned World Bahamas Defense Force will have a vessel alongside. Tropical will also, Ro-Ro Company will also, you'll get to go and tour these vessels. We're going to have port tours. There's going to be a kitty corner. We have food and drinks for purchase. We are going to have, that's the biggest thing. We're doing something that so far I don't think anybody else has done, but our festival is a green festival. So we have banned styrofoam, plastic straws, single-use plastics. All that is banned on that day. And it's in keeping in mind that our environment and the very vulnerable sea and ocean is right behind us.
Yeah.
We are taking the stance on being green. And this is something that we've been doing in our office for 2 years at least now. We don't have styrofoam in our office. We drink out of paper cups and things like that. So we're taking it now to the festival, and we're determined to show that it can be done.
And there's an awful lot of entertainment. The entertainment's going to go in different cycles throughout the day.
Oh, child.
We have a big bandstand, and so that'll be going. We have, hospitality areas where people can chill out and cool off. We got a number of different bars and food service areas, and all this education and lots to see and do. It's going to be fun.
I got to come in time for Lady E because I love her and Ira Store. Some of my favorites.
Yeah, so we have Lady E, Ira Store and the Spank Band. We have Willis and the Illest. We have the Sir Gerald Crash Primary Rake and Scrape Band. We have the world famous Junkanoo Commandos doing Junkanoo Rush Out. We've got the Rumpa Pum Pum Drummers. We've got the Queen's College. I think it's Thrive to Excel. The Winners of the Music Project. Queen's College High School Band.
Cadet Corps is doing some things as well.
Exactly. I mean, we've got stuff going all day. We also have some art, live art. So Alan Pacino Wallace is going to be doing salt art for us, and Stefan Legend Davis is going to be doing painted art for us. And, I mean, we just got something, I think, for everyone, and it's going to be a great time. Those trucks that we were talking about, they're going to be on display. And we have a helicopter. It's free.
Parking you have to pay for.
Right.
Yeah.
Parking is $2 per car.
But it's manned. It's protected down at the end. We have a parking area, and it's going to be manned, so your car is safe.
Absolutely.
that's that'll be mostly on the
that'll be on the
western
west
end.
On the western end,
Okay.
Well,
you all keep, the other thing I have to say when you go to the port, I mean, first of all, you all don't own the whole of the island, so that's another story. But y'all keep a clean shop out there, a really neat shop out there.
We try to be.
our best.
We try to be the best. We want to be a model of excellence for the country, so we do our best.
It is really nice.
All right, well, listen, guys, it sounds like fun. We learned a lot, and I think it's just for folks to know, because guess what? Those shares are traded in the open market, right?
You got it.
So the average Bahamian, if you haven't gotten any of the shares, you can still get them if someone wants to sell them. I don't know who wants selling them. I ain't selling mine.
I think Bizzix has orders waiting to be filled now.
I sell it. Anyway, it's remarkable to me. It is a remarkable model. And one of the things that I think should be celebrated is the fact that we as Bahamians, average citizens, have a vested interest in the thing that brings all of our stuff into the country. Yeah. So it's a great opportunity.
Well, we look forward to seeing you there.
She loves these things.
Yeah. I'll be there for sure.
I'll send you a video.
All right. Thanks for coming by, Amanda Friedman and Dick Richard McComb from APD.
Thanks for having us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith. And we just had some folks from APD. Rogan, I tell you, man, I see it, the potential. Talk about wealth distribution, and we're gonna segue into that. Into what we're talking about next. You talk about wealth distribution. When I look at things like Cable Bahamas, there's a company called Consolidated Water, which is supply of water. BPL, hopefully in the future. We missed obviously an opportunity with BTC, which would have been a wonderful opportunity, the port and global ports, which is coming up.
Yeah.
This is what gives, and it's not about what you make from it now.
Yeah.
It's what you make. Even with CBL, Commonwealth Brewery, the government said, okay, if you're going to buy this company, fine, but you've got to put out shares. It's about generational wealth.
Precisely.
Okay?
Leave it
Because,
to your children, your children's children.
the people who
You
are
don't go
wealthy
and sell
today
it.
didn't just get wealthy in 1 minute.
That's right.
And that's why their children are benefiting from it, because
Absolutely.
as those things appreciate,
Yes.
that's how it happens. It's not about making $18 a share on 10 shares today. You imagine the person whose great-great-grandfather bought 1,000 shares of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, gee.
Okay. Yeah.
Things
that's
all right
right.
with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how it has to work.
Works. Yeah.
So, so the segue, of course, here is Junkanoo, Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival, which was designed originally, and I'm going to have my little disputes here with Mr. Torelli, which was designed originally to create economic opportunities for Bahamians. And I think it has. Certainly the group's businesses are businesses. And like you see in other countries, groups come and some groups go and groups grow and groups fall. That's free market.
Yes.
But I want to ask you, Dario, because this is the part that concerns me. Is it going to be just enough? And I know you had probably more visitors than you've had in previous years. But is it going to be sustainable just as a predominantly Bahamian party?
No, we need foreign revelers. We need foreign capital injection. We definitely need foreign sponsorship because only so much money a company could sponsor yearly in the Bahamas.
Right.
Because of the small population, 211,000 adults. There's only so much bears could drink. And so when you look at Carnival itself in the region, it's a $1 billion business. And so a foreign company that sponsors a big brand throughout the region will be one of those brands that we have to go after. And that's how we grow this industry, because it takes a lot of money. You remember the report that I created that was sent from the association, how much it takes to put 150 revelers on the parade. So that went about, and after 5 years that was 57,000. So after 5 years that went up. And so we need capital injection, especially to start. We're trying to now turn the association into a corporation. And so now we could sell shares. We could go to investor and give you a good return on your investment.
Right.
So we could do it right.
But go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask, do you have a count of how many international participants took place?
Not as yet. We are trying to finalize that. The president and I sat on Sunday. He called all the bands and tried to get that. And so that'll probably take another week or so we could get the exact demographics,
right,
where they from, and we have people that came from all over the world.
Well, I imagine
and
if you had websites, they could track those.
Yeah, so we do it. We just haven't finalized the report to give to the public. Of course, we want to know how many hotels.
Right.
I saw a bump in there, and Ed probably could tell me better than that.
Yeah.
A bump in their revenue or the occupancy, and then of course Airbnb did well, because I am in the Airbnb business also, and all of my friends in it say this is the best week they had for the year.
Really?
Well, I mean, and most people tend to do that anyway.
Yeah.
We have a different set of nuances here than many other places, right? Like Brazil and Trinidad, everywhere. And as I was telling Rogan, yesterday, the carnival really emanates from Europe. That's where it first started. But here's what I'm talking about. And I saw an article in the newspaper today which kind of speaks to this, even though I think it was overly negative. And that is the root of the basis for it. Okay, so you could say, okay, you know what, we just want to have a party, and then that's not going to be sustainable because people get tired of that. For instance, the thing that drives Carnival in Trinidad, and I don't care how many people think that you shouldn't compare it to it, it's comparable, is the music.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
The music drives it. The songs, the cultural, revelation or reveling, I should say, drives the party. Here, we're just kind of having the party. And we had a thing where we would start out with this music thing.
Music Masters was
right?
the greatest idea.
And it's kind of gone away.
Well, we spoke about that on last week also, is that Carnival have two separation. You have the road, which is owned by the bands, the road march itself, which Carnival is all about. Nothing starts or end before the road march. And then you have the promoter side. You get the big concert, and then you get the juves and the other concierge service that bring people in or host event leading into Carnival Road Fever. And so that partnership with the promoters and the band is to jumpstart the music master side of this. Because I think
right now all you have is essentially, I'm not not one who's opposed to this. All you have is imported music, driving it. Whereas if you had the Bahamian music industry driving this, it now creates, first of all, opportunities for Bahamian artists to grow and expand and create a Bahamian sound that is a Bahamian carnival sound. But also what it does is once that sound gets out into the world, then that now drives more people here.
But it's also the musicians got to want to be part of this or have another.
But they got to be incentivized. If they don't have no incentive,
it's a business. Do you want to be a singer or do you want to be a part-time singer? We spending our personal money and investing in creating the festival.
Right.
Wendy was nominated for the soca female soca artist award, the International Soca Awards. She won in her category. That is coming in the Bahamas next year.
But you see, here's the thing.
She did her job. Julian Believe is doing their job. Dyson is doing their job creating their product.
But it's here's the thing, and I accept it as well, that you have to be committed, right? But everything, just like you guys. So let me put it back on you. The whole thing, you guys got a jump start.
Yes.
In the first year anyway.
Yeah, only the first year.
You were completely funded essentially by the government. I'm saying that till we get to where that, they've gone over the hump, right? Just a little hump to where you give prize money for the winner. So you incent 180 songs. $20,000 first prize. Incentivize 180 people to write songs.
And then you remember we also went to Freeport and repeat that in Freeport.
And the thing that held it back was the government's intervention with releasing funds did not allow the marketing plan to happen because this Rogan's favorite song, Dig Up the Road, if that had been marketed in the timely manner, that would have gone down to Trinidad, that would become popular, that song would be around the world in markets like Canada, etc. So those markets who are carnival goers would say, you know what, I go into the Bahamas, that's the kind of music they have down there.
And that's why I made sure I mentioned sponsors. Whatever money we go after collectively as a association, it is to fund the whole festival. And so if we could get enough sponsorship money, then we could put up prize money for music. And then bands are also responsible to go and create help an artist create a song. The second year I got Cupid to write a song for me, and I know other bands have done the same thing. And so it's up to us also to pull the music along, because right now for Trinidad next year they already started producing their songs.
That's the point. The point is that it should be private sector driven, entrepreneurial. And someone is going to have to come along and say, you know what, I've got enough deep pockets that for maybe the first year or two, I may not make a bunch of money, but I've got to be the sponsor of this Music Masters. And by the way, a thing that's owned by the commission, so you can't just use that term. So you have to come up with a new term.
The old commission.
The old commission, but it's still owned by them. But it's still owned. So maybe you can buy it from them. But the point is, you've got to be able to say, okay, create that environment so that music is flowing in on Ken's what do you call the thing, the vault, for months and months in advance of Carnival.
Yeah. Well, Palantra is another side of they're the promoters that did the concerts. When they came to the table and promote themselves as the promoter for Carnival for the concert, that's the commitment they said they was going to do. I don't think they took a chance this year because they wanted to see the evolution of it as a private business, their side and our side. And so what I'm hearing now is that they now going to look at a jumpstart. Of course, Trevor Davis managed that. He's known for being one of the big promoters in the country. So he knows how this music industry in the region. And so most likely you'll hear some announcement of that shortly.
What do you think? What separates the Bahamas Carnival from, say, the Carnival in Jamaica and the Carnival in Trinidad? Because I know when you walked in, you said, Bahamas Carnival is really getting known now. People, they're paying attention to the Bahamas. But what is it that's going to make me as an international participant decide that the Bahamas is where I want to come?
The destination. The Bahamas is still considered an exotic destination. We have a backdrop. I know from the first carnival that was always the talk by the commission. Let's keep that backdrop, that beach scene, as part of the view of carnival. That's why we on that parade from Sanders Beach going towards Awaki. We're the closest destination to the U.S. And so it's easy for someone to get here. We have crews that come overnight. So the cruise industry is huge in this. We had one company, you got to give it the Stephen Roll. Kudos to him and his Blue Monkey cruise. I think he had just over 400 revelers. And then other bands had revelers that came on the cruise also. So that's one of the biggest advantage we have, the destination itself. And then we have a cruise industry. On any given day, there's almost 15,000 people off a cruise ship.
How do you solicit feedback from individuals after they're done with the parade? Not the organizers, not the bands themselves, but the revelers. I mean, how do you go about?
Well, we'll engage them because we already started engaging them. How did you enjoy the Bahamas? What did you do other than coming on the parade? Because we influence a lot of them to come before Wednesday. Some people did come before Wednesday, and so that's part of the information gathering from the bands. When we have our first official meeting, we hope that all the bands will have all the numerical value of what was given from the revelers, because we want to tap into those because. From the U.S., every major city in the U.S. now is having a carnival. So that tells you how fast the industry is growing. And then you look at just about every major island in Caribbean has a carnival. And now Japan has a carnival. Dubai has a carnival.
I didn't know Japan had a carnival.
Sweden has a carnival. So the industry is growing.
This is where there's a little, and that's where there's a little disconnect. Because I'll tell you the interesting thing. All of those countries that he just named mimic the Trinidad Carnival.
Yes.
That's pure. They don't even waste any time. They don't have any problem with it. It's just another event. You're not trying to take over the the sumo wrestling culture or the whatever they got going on. It's just another thing. We're hung up on this thing about the overtaking of the culture. No, it's one event. No one remembers it the next day. But we actually go to another length, and that's why I say if we could, and that's why I think we'll be popular. If you go to a Brazilian carnival, they have samba.
Yes.
If you go to Trinidadian carnival, they have soca. And that's what makes those two ones unique. Everyone else kind of mimics the Trinidadian version.
Yes.
If we can develop that Bahamian music element, we can become one of the popular carnivals again simply because of the uniqueness of it.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
And
because of the uniqueness of the Bahamian influence.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to push the musicians to do. We didn't offer no prize money, but we are giving you opportunity to expose yourself.
Right.
To be exposed for 10 hours in one day.
Yeah, but it's not human nature, of course. And when you look at Marshall and all that, just trust me, in the Trinidad environment, from Christmas, Boxing Day, to
February.
The Tuesday before Ash Wednesday, those bands are working 2-3 venues a night.
Yes.
And getting a good wage.
Do they? Because I've never been to Trinidad's carnival. Do they like Machel Montano and Patrice and all them? Do they get like a fee?
So there's a thing called Soca Monarch, which is what Music Masters was, and there's a big prize, like $1 million.
Okay, so they
or something. It's a big deal.
Dollars.
And it comes to like a couple $100,000 US dollars. So it's a big prize.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in addition to that, let's say there are 3 parties, and this happened just last week. Let's say there are 3 parties going on at the same time, 3 what they call fetes, right? Let's say a guy like Dyson would be going to each of those fetes and performing for about maybe 20 minutes to a half hour and making money at each of those fetes.
Yeah.
That's how they make their money.
That's how they do it.
Oh, wow.
Okay, from Christmas. Those are 3 months. They're doing that every night.
Intense.
Okay. Now we may not get to that level, but certainly the week before or the 2 weeks before, because they had fetes. I mean, my daughter went to a couple. One was on Pearl Island. One was somewhere else. 3 in one night.
Yes.
So they could be making. Just going around to each of those scenarios and making money. Wow. So that's why I say, it's music driven. And and that's the other thing, we look to go north all the time. If our musicians can develop their sound, there's a welcome wagon in the South called the Caribbean who will listen to their music, who will put their music on, and then once it becomes popular, producers will start promoting them in the carnivals around the world.
The DJs in this region is asking why Bahamian not producing the music.
Right.
I probably have about 17 DJs in the region from Toronto down down in Guyana. They're asking why are we not producing the music, and so you're correct. I'm glad we had this discussion because it's more than just the bands trying to put on the event for you. You have to take the opportunity for the event that we put on, and so we start now in mid-April. This whole process now started in mid-April this year, and then we jump-started the week with Survival Weekend. Trevor became a partner in this with us, and so the whole week of Carnival is intense. Now we have 3 Juve bands that did Juve on a Thursday, so that's a great opportunity for another young artist to produce the music, but they have to produce the music that is designed for people moving and dancing on the street.
And that's why I support Reagan
the music.
In her thing about you have to dispel or dismiss negate the criticism by making sure that you develop this Bahamian sound that is unique to us, so that it is something that is from us, and that criticism about just importing something will at least be diminished to some extent. We'll be back. We got a break, and we'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields, along with Rogan Smith. I know, Rogan, you had something to ask just as we were leaving.
Oh, jeez. No. I was the controversy with the Bahamas Christian Council. I know you're over it. The event is already over. But did it have any impact whatsoever on participation?
No. We Caribbean people. We love to talk. We love a good debate. We love a good argument on the street. But the show goes on.
But is there an argument to say, okay, I've been to many carnivals. And I could be wrong on this, but I don't know if the level of, I know Prude. That's the last. If you want to write my name next to something, it ain't Prude. But the level of lewd behavior is like at a different level here. Is there any room to say, look, there's certain lines. You can, the line, that listen, if you're going to do that, you're off the parade.
Yeah, do the groups.
I think you'll end up with more support.
Well, I think the conversation on that should start as early as possible. If you look at for 1,000 revelers, 2 or 3 misbehaving, we can remove them. Because this behave might cost something else. You might miss and kick somebody, or you might throw a bottle up and hit somebody in the head, something like that. But I think the conversation with them, I invited them, come and sit down and talk with us. Let's have a good, frank conversation. Me and Karen Harris met a couple of weeks ago inside the barbershop, and after I explained to him the industry of carnival itself, him and I had an extended conversation because he don't quite know me. So, he's been criticizing me and my industry for the longest. But after him and I sat down, he saw what I am all about and the industry itself. This is a huge industry. And so let's sit down and come to a happy medium where I can't stop an adult from doing whatever they want to do if they want to enjoy themselves for one day. But you just can't wait till a week before, and then you're trying to be as critical as possible, trying to put fear in people. Start the process now, and there's other issues you could deal with also. But the showing stop.
If here's me being the lewd police, okay, just for the sake of argument, because I really don't care. The wet blanket, because I really don't care either way. But let's say as a compromise, right? Yes. Okay, you whine on someone, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you getting on the ground, okay? I'm not saying this happened. Yeah. But if you're getting on the ground and simulating a sexual act, then it's time to someone to say,
tap you in the back.
Hey, in the group, Marshall's in the group, hey,
no.
This is my group.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see that.
And if you're going to do that, you need to go.
Yeah.
And we're going to throw you out right now.
But I think they do bear some responsibility,
Yeah. And I think if you get that, you'll see more, less criticism.
I think there'll be a softening of the tone from, the BCC.
Yeah. What's the plan? I mean, a lot of people, it's a weird thing. I would make a bet, and I'm just throwing this out, that you had more participants than you get for Junkanoo, and that you have more people on the sidelines that you get for Junkanoo. So that, no matter how many people want to, say, well, the reality is the reality, right? I mean, I saw people, you don't see this. I saw people setting up tents and like banquet
banquet
settings.
style.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And trucks and thing and,
Yeah.
It was a family affair.
Which means you got to worry about that. You want me to call you the blue police? I'll be the blue. Okay? If it's a family affair.
People literally park their cars early as possible, set up the tent, and then remove the vehicle, and they had dining there. It was amazing, and so that's how this is evolving. I let me go on the record now. I like to advocate and maybe petition that we change the road from six-legged roundabout to Sanders Beach Carnival Boulevard, like an hour Peter.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. So, yeah.
I put out the universe.
See, you brought it up, we discussed it, and we dismissed it.
Was there a bit of a delay in the start? Because I heard some people saying that it was like a 2-hour delay. Was that correct?
No, but we always tell our revelers try to come out there as early as possible, 8, 9, the latest. It's also vehicles also on the parades. We have the lining it up right, and then there's a concert that ends 4 or 5 o'clock, and so
really?
yes.
When I was running the parade, did it start on time?
Oh yeah, man, this was a crazy fellow, man.
No, that's good.
Him and Roxy used to look for me.
Yeah.
They grabbed me and looked for me, and I was behind the man.
At time, at 10, it's starting. Now, if you only got 3 people with you, they're gonna have to join you up later.
What we decided was for the first 2 years of us owning the parade itself, we wouldn't put no competition in. So this year coming, I think we have to introduce competition. One of the for you being penalized is you don't show up on time.
Right.
Are you going to create an independent road march managing committee or something so that you don't have to worry about?
Yeah, that's a must. That's a must. That we realized that last year, and we realized that more because of the parade is now bigger.
And listen, you guys have all. I'm sure that the commission will be happy to hand it over. You have all the basics already there.
Yes,
it isn't that you have to invent the wheel.
Yeah.
But you just got to have people to say, I remember I went up to one person once, and by the way, let's not excuse the 4 o'clock. I left that concert at 4 a.m., and I was there at 9 o'clock the next morning. Yeah. Now, you have to have someone who's going to, I went up to one young lady, and I said, look, you're next because Dario's group didn't show up, so you're next. Oh, well, we're not starting. I said, no problem. You're now disqualified.
Yeah.
So boom. That's it. And she says, well, who made that decision? I said, me.
Yeah.
I just made the decision. You're disqualified.
Yeah. So the competition will drive the time element. It's imperative that we do that. And it also gives more requests from the sponsors that listen. This is what for you to play. This is a parade.
Yeah.
We're giving you the opportunity to be viewed by 15,000 minimally spectators.
Right.
You can't get nothing bigger than that in this country. In a 10-hour shift, that's plenty people looking at your brand. It still baffles me that sponsors still only decide to pick 1 or 2 bands when you've been around. That's their thing. But that's why I said you have to go to international sponsors to bring more money in to make the parade even more organized.
One last thing, because we got 2 minutes, because this is our pet peeve, and I don't know when it happened, if it didn't happen, because I got a lot of calls. You have to have that garbage crew immediately behind the last group, moving at the same time. It ain't no coming back a little later.
Yeah.
But they did that, so you couldn't clean Bay Street coming, Awaki coming.
No, you could clean when you leave the sports center.
Fountain, from Fountain Road was cleaned as each group leave. Yeah. There was a leg gap and they started cleaning.
Okay.
The thing is that it looked horrible the next day on Bay Street. Because timely got on Bay Street.
And by the way, that's in places like Brazil and other places, the cleanup crew, that's a part of the parade.
Yes.
People just watching how they clean up.
You drop the balls up and they're grabbing it.
They got it. Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for coming. Good luck to you in the future. I'm sure one good thing about this and every other country that does things like this, it'll be an annual debate because that's why we have material for talk shows.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't go away. So thank you for coming by, Dario Torelli.
Thank you.
You still the president?
No, past president. I'm the spokesperson, PR person for the organization.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, thanks for coming by.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.